Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Friday morning and we're going to be talking about the Nicola Bulley case again today. Yes, I am risking alienating my audience further, but guys, look, let me be really clear. I'm not defending the police. Just because I happen to believe the police got it right, because the police did get it right, that doesn't mean to say I would have defended them if I thought they were wrong. So in this video, we're going to go through step by step the early stages of the investigation and counter some of the things that are being said. Again, this is at risk of alienating my audience further. Hopefully, it will give you some tips on understanding how investigations work, and that will help you navigate future cases. Maybe. Before we get into that, let me just say that over on my second channel, Michelle Walks, there is going to be an episode of Crime Stories Sunday. I know some of you really like them. If you missed last week's, it was on the missing person, Bryn Hargreaves. He grew up very local to me, but he actually went missing from his home in West Virginia. So please do go and check that out. If you want to dig into a mystery, a real mystery, then check out the case of Bryn Hargreaves. So there will be another episode this week. That doesn't mean to say that they're coming back every single week, but I enjoyed last week's so much, I want to do another one this week. And there's a case that I've been meaning to cover for ages now. It's reasonably well known in the UK, particularly in the town of Southport, where this horror happened, and this is a case that goes back to 1998. So that will be the usual time slot for Crime Stories Sunday. That's 8 p.m. UK time. Once I put the scheduler up, the scheduler will go up a few hours before. You will be able to see what time that is in your local time. A few British YouTubers have covered this case, but I don't know how well known it is in other parts of the world. So hopefully you enjoy it. It's a shocking case, really shocking. But yeah, there's a lot to dig into there. So look out for that. Yesterday I did a live talking about the upcoming trial of Letitia Stauch. So if you missed that live, then check it out. If you're not familiar with that case, we started right at the beginning. We looked at the investigation in the very early stages using the probable cause affidavit. So go and check that out if you want to learn more about Letitia Stauch's case and the murder of 11-year-old Gannon, who was her stepson. Her trial is coming up. Jury selection starts on the 20th of March, so Monday. The trial proper begins on the 3rd of April. So I'll be covering that case, covering the trial extensively on this channel. I'll probably split the viewing between this channel and Michelle Walks. And I'm continuing to follow the trial of Thomas Cashman. I'm putting out almost daily videos about what's going on at the trial of Thomas Cashman, who is the accused killer of 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell. That's a case very close to me, only 28 miles from where I live. Olivia was brutally murdered, and I'm surprised not more people are covering it. But yeah, all right, let's do this. So we've got someone, I've not put his name on because I think it's his real name, but this is an email that somebody put on their Twitter that they've sent to Dr. Adley, who is the coroner in Nicola Bulley's case. Now, Dr. James Adley is the most senior coroner in Lancashire, so he's overseeing Nicola's case. He was the one who opened the inquest. He's the one who will be conducting the investigation, a non-criminal investigation, because coroners do not deal with criminal cases. That's why we know Nicola's case is not considered a crime. They've ruled out homicide, or else it would have been taken back to the police and the CPS. The coroner would have opened the inquest, said, this looks like a criminal investigation, you deal with it. And no, that's not what's happened. Now, I've got several videos about the purposes of a coroner's inquest in the UK, so please do go and check those out. I've done it several times. I'm not going to reopen that. I know people are bored with it. All right, so this is the email that has sparked this particular video. Dear Dr. Adley, by now, Dr. David Reed, the senior coroner for Worcestershire, should have forwarded to you my attached letter to him dated 2nd of March. I don't know why this person has contacted a coroner in Worcestershire. Worcestershire are not involved in this case. I don't know why this person contacted a senior coroner in a different county. Weird, but that's what they did. The accumulating evidence regarding police buffoonery in the search for Nicola Bulley is now overwhelming. E.g., requesting car dashcam footage for the identical time slot when she was sighted in the fields. Do you know why they did that? It's so that they could rule out any suspicious vehicles. So suspicious vehicles parked at the side of the road. Suspicious vehicles where somebody gets out and looks like they're going to enter the field area. So they're not just looking for sightings of Nicola, although they were looking for sightings of Nicola, of course, but they were appealing for all dashcam footage throughout that morning to rule out as many different angles as they could. So of course they're going to ask for dashcam and CCTV covering the time that Nicola was on the field, because they needed to have as good an indication as they could do based on the evidence that the public could give them that there wasn't any suspicious vehicles or any suspicious people walking on foot who looked like they were going to enter the river path or the fields via another route. That's why. And then a spiritual medium finding his second body in a river puts it beyond any reasonable doubt that Nicola Bulley was murdered, as I outlined in my attached letter to Mr. David Reed. The fact that a member of the public found her, I don't understand how that's relevant, unless you're implicating the person that found her. Whether he was a spiritual medium or not is irrelevant. Unless you're implicating him in her murder, who found her isn't relevant, surely. So it inspired me to go and look at the early footage just to see if there was anything that I missed, anything that the police could have done better or differently. Now, Nicola was found in the river 23 days after she went missing. And yes, we can all have questions as to why she wasn't found for 23 days. But as I've talked about extensively in my videos, we know that searching waterways, especially those that are moving, like rivers, it's very, very difficult, because it's not like you can just clear one area. It's not like a land search where you can clear one area and say, right, she's not there, because the river's moving. Past the weir, it's tidal. There's no way that you can clear one area. That body can move, as indeed was the case. She was found a mile downstream, and she was found floating, and she came to rest under that tree. Why was she not found for 23 days? My guess is that the body was trapped underwater somewhere, in a sandbank, in a mud bank, under debris. You know, we can ask the same thing. Why was Peter Baglin not found for 2 months? Because it's notoriously difficult to search waterways. Divers have to go in there and literally feel. Sonar can easily miss bodies when there's debris in the river or the canal, as in Peter's case. So that's why. There's nothing suspicious about it. I keep saying that, don't I? But yet, the majority of comments on Twitter are still about Paul Ansell, and Emma White. Check this one out. Watch Little Willow. He effing hates Paul Ansell. This is in relation to the Channel 5 interview between interviewer Dan Walker and Paul Ansell, and Willow was there. And Willow, yeah, she did look a little bit nervous. And this person says, he's so anxious and nervous. Firstly, Willow is a girl, not a he. I wouldn't be surprised if he's been witness to a few beatings at home, hence the anxiety. Poor thing. Is it more likely that Willow was nervous because she was in a strange place? There was lights, there was cameras, strange people around. Maybe that's why Willow was nervous. Not because Paul Ansell was a violent monster. We've got no evidence that Paul Ansell was a violent monster. And even if he was, that still doesn't mean that he's connected to Nicola's disappearance, because there's no crime. Spaniels are a sensitive breed. A picture tells 1,000 words. I could get really pedantic and say a spaniel is not a breed. I get it. This is why I alienate my audience, because I am a little bit sarcastic. But there's actually 12 breeds of spaniels that are recognised by the British Kennel Club. The Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. They are so cute. They are so cute. The King Charles Spaniel. The American Cocker Spaniel. Can you imagine trying to clean that kind of spaniel? I could never have that kind of spaniel. Can you imagine the state they'd be in? Spaniels do love mud. English Cocker Spaniel. American Water Spaniel. The Clumber Spaniel. It's the biggest spaniel breed. The English Springer Spaniel. The Welsh Springer Spaniel. The Field Spaniel. You never see Field Spaniels. They're all like proper rare now. The Irish Water Spaniel. The Sussex Spaniel. And the Tibetan Spaniel. It's not a true spaniel, lacking the spaniel lineage of the rest of its group. So earned the spaniel name due to its resemblance to the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Looks more like a Pekingese to me. Anyway, I digress, as I tend to. But let's get back on track here. This is what Lancashire Police need to do to solve this case within a day. Question Paul. Done. Question Emma. Done. Ask the girls. The girls have been supported for the entire time by dedicated family liaison officers. Family liaison officers are part of the investigation, so if there was any indication that those children were telling a different story than the one that their father was putting out, I think they would have sussed that. Ask the parents at the school. Well, yeah, people saw her. Ask the school why she didn't go in the school. They would have known the girls were in the school. But Nicola didn't go in the school. She parked her car near the school. Ask co-workers. They did. All that remains is the inquest to be completed. And then we've got, there was quite a number of people talking about the early press conferences that Superintendent Sally Riley did. And I'm not really sure why she's come under a lot of scrutiny in the last few days. This is just one example. Superintendent Riley stated it was her belief that Nicola made her way into the village on foot with Willow. She didn't actually say that. She said that she was last seen on foot. We'll show you in a minute. Paul stated he helped put Willow and the kids in the car with Nicola. Well, we've seen that now on the CCTV footage. We know that Paul was there talking with the girls while Nicola was putting Willow in the car. She closed the boot. She got in the car. Emma waved at Nicola at the school as they went on their busy routines. Okay. Who took the kids to school? Nicola. I don't know why this is still an issue, honestly. I really don't. I really don't. Shall we listen to what Sally Riley actually said at one of the very early press conferences? This was January the 30th. So I've chosen this one because that tweet had this backdrop. So let's listen to what Sally Riley actually said.
And we appeal for anyone who may have been driving through the village of St Michael's last Friday morning at about 9:15, or who may have dashcam footage that could be of use to us, or people who may have been dog walking in the area or on the towpath to come forward. They can ring 101, or if they have a sighting of Nicola, 999.
So she said they want dashcam footage from about 9:15. Yeah, going back to what the guy who's wrote to Dr. James Adley said, that they were appealing for dashcam footage from the same time she was on the fields. As I said, that's good practice because they want to know if Nicola left, but they also want to know if there was any suspicious vehicles in the area. Surely, anybody who arrived on foot, who looked like they were going into the fields, all of those people needed to be spoken to, as they were. We know that they were. The timeline got more specific as the days went on. This is a media update on Lancashire Police's website from February the 3rd. It's now a week since the mum of two went missing, and since last Friday we've been carrying out extensive searches in the area, along with many enquiries in the background. The work has included extensive and thorough searches of the river and footpaths by specialist police search teams and partner agencies, including His Majesty's Coast Guard, Mountain Rescue and Lancashire Fire and Rescue Services. Resources have included specialist search dogs, drone police helicopters and divers. These searches are continuing. So again, notoriously difficult to find someone in water. I've had a few questions asking me why the cadaver dogs who went out on the water didn't find her. Because they have their limitations in water, particularly in moving water, because that scent dissipates very, very quickly. So unless the dog is directly above the body, they're not going to be able to isolate where a scent is coming from. A team of detectives working behind the scenes, analysing telephony, house-to-house, CCTV, dashcam and carrying out other digital inquiries and examining information coming into the inquiry. Several public appeals for information and to trace witnesses. Key witnesses have now been traced. But they had to continue. They had to continue to make sure that they weren't missing anything. This is good police work. We are grateful to the media for their coverage and the community for their help, information and support. Based on all the work we've done so far, we are now as confident as we can be that Nicola has not left the field where she was last seen, and our working hypothesis is that she's fallen into the river for some reason. So they didn't put a theory together as to why they thought she went in the river. They just said they kept it open because they don't know at this stage. They perhaps still don't know. And that will be for the coroner to try to work out based on all of the information that he receives, not just from the autopsy, but also from the results of the police investigation. That's one of the purposes of an inquest. There's no evidence whatsoever, anything suspicious about her disappearance or any third-party involvement in her going missing. So they've ruled out as much as they can, but they were continuing to work, keeping their minds open on this. Our investigation remains open and we will of course act on any new information that comes to light. Nicola's family are being supported by specially trained officers and we are keeping them fully updated. Superintendent Sally Riley said it's now a week since Nicola went missing and her disappearance has understandably caused a huge amount of concern and upset in the local community, as well as being an absolutely awful time for her family. As a mum, I can't begin to imagine the suffering they are going through. We are supporting them as best we can and keeping them updated on our efforts to try and find Nicola. We've done a huge amount of work, both in terms of searches of the area, as well as extensive inquiries, which have been going on behind the scenes. And based on that work, we are as sure as we can be that Nicola has not left the area where she was last seen, and that very sadly, for some reason, she has fallen into the water. There's absolutely nothing to suggest from all the extensive inquiries we've made that anything untoward has happened, or that there is any third-party involvement. This remains a missing persons inquiry and we continue to carry out searches and do everything we can to find Nicola and provide her family and the community with the answers they desperately need. Officers will be in and around the village and anybody with information or concerns should feel free to approach us. This was the timeline that they put out, which was developed a little bit further as the investigation progressed. So they knew a week in that Nicola was walking along the river path at 8:43. Approximately 8:50, a dog walker who knew Nicola saw her. They interacted briefly before the witness left the field via the river path. That changed to 8:47. 8:53, she sent an email to her boss. 9:01, she logged into a Teams call. This is why we know that her co-workers were spoken to. We know that people at the school were spoken to, and this was done in the first week. We know her camera was off and her mic was muted, as was normal in a meeting where she was just getting information. So there was nothing that the co-workers could update in terms of, overhearing anything or seeing anything. And then approximately 9:10, a witness, so this turns out to be Ron, saw her on the upper field walking her dog. And then at 9:30, the Teams call ended, but Nicola stayed logged on. And then approximately 9:35, that became 9:33, Nicola's mobile phone and Willow were found at the bench. Now, a question I was asked after I went to St Michael's and retraced Nicola's steps was, could a vehicle get into this field here? The bench is right here. And I looked at my footage and I said, yes, I don't believe that somebody was able to bring a vehicle up to the bench and drag Nicola off in that vehicle. But it has come up again. I don't think I've got the screenshot for it, but somebody screenshotted a picture of a vehicle in this area. So this is where Nicola parked her car at the school on Hall Lane. And then this is why they were so desperate for dashcam footage. This is quite a busy road. Garstang Road is quite a busy road. And yes, again, they were appealing for dashcam at the same time Nicola was in the fields to rule out suspicious activity. This side of the road, there's nothing, it's just fields. And then there's just two properties on this walk. It's literally a minute's walk to the river path. So you've got two properties, this one and this one, and they mustn't have had CCTV. I would have thought the church would have had CCTV, but maybe not. And then this is the bridge. And then this is the river path. So the reason why she wasn't seen on CCTV is because she literally only passed two properties and a church. It's such a short walk. Now, if you go further up, then the other exits and entrances to the fields were covered. The Grapes pub here has got CCTV. The garage here's got CCTV. You go around the corner to the allotment lane entrance to the field and it's got CCTV. There's nothing suspicious about a small village not having CCTV at two properties and a church. Nothing suspicious at all. That's why they were appealing for as much dashcam footage as they could get. And no, they weren't giving the wrong name of the road out. This is Garstang Road. I know Sally Riley called it Garstang Lane, but there's no such place as Garstang Lane. It's Garstang Road, but everybody knows it's Garstang Road. So this is the river path. Nicola walked down here. We know she was on this path at 8:43. The river path continues past the farm, the caravan park. And you can see the weir. It's only a very, very short walk. And then there's this gate. So this gate is locked. And obviously only the landowners have the key to this gate. So if a vehicle was hidden along here, they'd have had to get through this gate. So that's why, you can say, well, it was the landowners that took her. But no, they didn't. Yes, you can get a vehicle down there. It goes past the weir. And then as you continue along the river path towards the bench, that's the field. That's the field you see on that bend. The river kind of goes round on the tree line there. The river path is just taking a deviation from the river as it comes up to the bench. Now, I know Willow could have got either under that fence, over that stile, as I'd talked about so many times. If Nicola had left, there was no way Willow was trapped. She could have gone over, under, around, Another thing that people have talked about is why this area wasn't cordoned off. Well, what would that have achieved? Because before the public were even aware that Nicola was missing, the police had been there, so they would have been able to see any particular scuff marks, signs of a struggle. There would have been no point cordoning it off to do fingerprinting or DNA because this is a public place. Fingerprinting the bench would have been irrelevant because it wouldn't have been admissible in court. Fingerprinting the gate, not admissible in court because there's just so many fingerprints on there. I looked over, this is the field, right? I looked over this for any like signs of tyre tracks or anything like that, and there isn't. And it's actually quite overgrown, really. So a vehicle could get down there, but I don't think an average car could have got all the way down there. Maybe they could, but no tyre tracks. No tyre tracks at all. This footage is from the 6th of February, and how steep this is, no video, no photos that I've ever seen does it justice about how steep it is. That's at least a 10-foot drop. From that edge there to the river, it's at least a 10-foot drop. And although it's shallow at the edge, it's up to 10 feet in the middle. It's a very steep banking. So it goes down this embankment area, which I nearly slipped down, and then you've got a 10-foot drop into the river onto rocks. My working theory has always been that Nicola fell over and knocked herself out, and that's why she remained buoyant for a time, because she was alive, but she couldn't get out because she was unconscious. And then the current took her. That's my working theory, talked about previously. So her body would have remained buoyant longer than you would have thought, because she actually didn't die straight away. But by the time the current had taken her, by the time the alarm was raised, she wasn't there. So, I don't know what else to tell you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle, hope you well. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye guys. That's a ball.